and thank you for your kind introduction. Good morning, everybody. Here once again in our weekly Thursday webinar, and thank you for your time as well. Let me then introduce again what are we going to review, because those of you who are interested in not only checking Business Central, but also replenishment processes, well, that's what we're going to see. Well, from Business Central, as you may know, it's currently the latest version in Microsoft for mid-sized companies. So as well, we can say that is the new Navision updated, either in the cloud or on premises. And either in both flavors, we actually now access through a browser. So this is Firefox, but I can open it with any other, like Chrome or Edge, which are actually, that's not a problem. You can access from in mobile or in your tablet if you want it. So the idea also is that we are now connected with many applications, all of them in a cloud, working, for instance, with your email, with OneDrive, if you want to attach files, OneNote as well. Teams is an application that is like a Facebook for a company. So why not to review when you have purchased something, or if Cortana, by the way, is telling you is giving you a plan to purchase something, well, why not to post it so the entire team can see it? And that kind of things, because now we are working in a system that is not isolated in terms of, well, any system actually needs to cooperate with other type of tools. So this is taking the things to another level, right? So that's it. What we're going to be reviewing then is trying to understand what purchasers should do, and then how to then automate the processes, or if you want to help, want to get help from Cortana in order to see, hey, I don't know if I should purchase this or that, because not all the time you're going to be actually planifying according to the most advanced replenishing settings, right? But sometimes you want to have some advice. So that's exactly what we're going to see. And at the end, of course, if you want to make some questions about what you're seeing, well, we're going to leave some minutes at the end. So let's begin just now with the presentation. And the main idea of every webinar that I present is not to actually give you into a manual demo, but where you're going to learn like the step-by-step, but the actual general functionality to take the best of every webinar we provide in Optimus. Okay, so in order to begin, let me explain about the company. I'm working in Tech Chronos. My company is dedicated to technology. So we sell computers, we can sell, I'm choosing this type of industry because we can sell very expensive items. We can assemble them. Let's imagine that a customer wants some specific type of computer and style. And then, of course, we can just purchase and resell like cartridges, drives, or that type of item. So it has everything, right? So you can take the idea of what you can do. Connected to as well, we have Intelligent Cloud Insights here, which is, in other words, Cortana, that is going to give you some special information. And I'm a business manager. I want to start purchasing, and I want to review what can we do with this sort of a new technology, right? So I can then review the most advanced actually type of replenishment, which is the calculation of your entire inventory, or at least the items that you are actually trying to replenish. Okay, in order to begin, we need to actually show our inventory, right? So in order to understand, also in my company is a multi-site environment where I have a main warehouse, but as well as I have stores. Some of you might have it, or maybe at least 2 or 3 locations, right, where you are actually moving your inventory. So your supply chain, of course, needs to be not only one warehouse, maybe. Unless you are working in a supermarket, I believe that you sometimes need to make even transfer orders, etc. All right, so in my company, you can see here inventory, and some of the specific settings that I have some laptops. and I'm going to show you some of the items and the settings that include in order to replenish some of them. And then at the end, what I want to give you some insights. Today, we're not going to review warehousing. We have a session for that, but let's say that it's combined. Of course, that if you have a basic warehouse or a WMS warehouse, well, we would include then also another type of replenishing that is like internal in the warehouse among the shelves. But if you want to see it, please attend to our warehousing webinar that we had last week. So for now, our replenishment process will be for a multi-site environment with warehouse, stores, and another smaller warehouses that we can just see and present. Okay, so if I want now to analyze my items, let's try to take a look at any random item here. I have an HP Pavilion laptop. It's just one single piece, and it says that currently this is a type of inventory item. We might have some others like services or not inventory, but we do not replenish those. We do only replenish inventory or items that actually are in our stock, in our warehouses. When I talk about also my inventory, I of course would need to see the actual unit of measures, because sometimes you would need to replenish by pieces, or if you want, we can have, let's say, like pallet that might include I don't know, maybe here 20 pieces, let's say. Okay, so that's part also of the replenishing. We need to decide how to actually we're going to be purchasing, so we need to start designing our items. As well, if you have some other necessities in your warehouse like length or weight, these have to do with your capacity in the warehouse, just in case you have WMS, right? So I recommend you then to first review how do we actually work with this, and later come to the replenishing. So you can understand why do we have this order like cubage, height, width, length, etc. But these are the part of the capacity in your warehouse when you have bins and WMS. Otherwise, you will need just to update the unit of measures in order to purchase or sell and stock all the unit of measures that you use, but at the end, it's just the same item. Then, whenever I actually want to start replenishing, I need to understand how is my company divided, where are the physical locations. Let me just show in this case, how is it. I have a list of physical places, and some other of them are in transit. So the idea is that I have a main warehouse where I have some numbers for this item. So in here I have 158 pieces, but projected, because I'm going to receive for that specific date, right? The projected available balance will be 160, which will be 2 plus 158 for this warehouse. Then the idea is that you actually are going to have for all, here I have the store 1, 2, 3, and 4, 0 inventory, because I'm going to be replenishing, of course, but I need to start with some setups and policies so you can have the idea. So the first concept is design your item with the specific unit of measures. We include then your locations, like the main and or the stores. And in this case, I have some in transit, like outsourced logistics or own logistics, because when we talk about replenishing, we do not only review what we have physically speaking, but what is expected to be received, what is the demand, etc. With those numbers, like a planned order released, we also have some replenishing proposals, because according to the projected available balance that you will be having in the future, because you're going to be receiving inventory from your purchases, quantity on hand, and then your projected available balance. Then the idea is that we need to actually start planning some orders to be released. So if you understand this concept, is the idea of for different dates, I will need to continue reviewing maybe on a weekly basis, or I recommend every two weeks to 1 month. So we have the idea that we're going to be doing is that we are going to need projected available balance. In every place we conceptualize or we see in advance, especially with your managers in every location, especially for instance the stores, right? And at least in the main warehouse, which will be our distribution center. But with this specific criteria, we also are going to be purchasing and then transferring as well, and everything will be automated. As well, if the purchaser needs, sometimes they don't need to run the entire replenishing process, but they can ask Cortana. So we have now to see two processes. Once we understand the basic concept of the replenishing in order to have projected available balance of inventory, then we are going to be able to use some tools. Okay, coming back to the basic configurations before actually doing some exercises, you would need to specify what the following concept, which is the stock keeping units. We need to have a relationship between in which physical places my computer will be replenished and how am I going to be replenishing this item. Specifically, I just purchase and sell this item, so I don't need to assemble it, but it could be the case. But that's why I use the stock keeping unit. This is where I specify how I actually replenish. Let's take a look at the stock keeping list. I'm going to keep it simple so we can understand from the basics, right? So the idea is that I'm going to be purchasing in my main warehouse. If you can see in the first line, I have the location code main. This is the main warehouse where I'm going to be purchasing. So the vendor will be supplying and delivering here my items. Then the quantity on hand, the reorder point, and some specific replenishing process that we're going to study today. But the most important for every stock keeping unit is that I will be having a relationship between where I purchase, and if I click on any of the stock keeping units in order to actually just check it, let me open it. You will need to specify the relationship between the physical location and how you handle the inventory there, because that's different from your warehouses and in your stores and in every other type of physical location. Let's take a look. In first place, in this store, I'm purchasing the item, so the store can order it. But if that's not the case, well, we would need to transfer it. Okay, so if we select in this case the transfer, we understand that we only are going to have a requisition worksheet, but we are not going to include a vendor. We just request items. We send the form to the manager, the inventory manager. Mainly in this case, if we transfer, that will be in the main warehouse, let's say as an example. So automatically with this setup, Business Central is going to understand if we have demand, how, then, and to which module we are going to ask the inventory when we need it. For the purchase department, for the production department when it's required, if we have assembly, transfer orders when we only require to, we only make a requisition to the warehouse, and assembly it. Just in case that any of you in your warehouses make some pick and pack, some packs. So, or maybe in the case of the computers, will be, of course, that I have components like the processor or the screens, etc., and I can make an all-in-one computer and that kind of policies, right? So it depends of the type of item. So you need now, you now are understanding that every type of a procedure can be replenished. So it's not only about purchasing. Now, when we talk about only, just in case I just purchase it, but in this case, if I purchase it, I need to specify the lead time calculation from your vendor. This is optional, but it helps a lot because the idea of replenishing as well is because in the sales side, not in the POS, but in the sales orders, we have functionality, so we can calculate when you can deliver to your customer. And that, of course, will be part of replenishing. Then we include the vendor and the vendor item number. So we can just print an order, send it, and we do not actually all the time use our own internal numbers. So once that is understood, these are the minimum requirements for purchasing, right? Then if you produce, well, what type of manufacturing level you have? Is this complex? Well, we have production. I'm not gonna go too much into these settings, but the idea of any manufacturing level, we have a production and assembly. Assembly is the easiest one. Maybe I just pack some items into a kit, or I actually need recipes or formulas which are more complex, so then we produce. The idea of the replenishing process when we work with these two levels is because we actually, do we need to prepare the finished product before we can sell it, or the customer can, for instance, make some variables, maybe another, in the case of the computer, I want type of processor, but I want this type of screen, and include my preferred mouse, let's say. So they can make an order, a list of components preferred by the customer, and then if we want to replenish manufacturing processes, we have two types, either for manufacturing or assembly. We can assembly to stock. So if that's the case and we have demand, then we need to wait for the assembly team to prepare my items. Or if it's assembly to order, then while you are actually preparing a sales order, this could be also requested by a POS. So your customer gives you the list or the wish list of for the different items and the components they desire, and the sales order will be actually directly ordering to the manufacturing process to do something, right? Or assembly process. That could be in the store as well, or in a warehouse, let's say. But the replenishing process can connect that too. Okay, let's talk about the planning functionality. The planning functionality is going to deal with the type of replenishing we could have. It could be fixed. That's what we call inventory levels, because you know how many items you can handle in every physical location, but that's fixed at the end, right? We don't always work with specific levels. We also have maximum quantity. That's we do not always use the quantity as maximum unless it's an item that you always sell, of course. Why? Because that's not the best way of saving costs, right? So the fixed reorder quantity can handle a reorder point when we go below a specific line or level, then start reordering, and you can have some levels, right? And then the maximum quantity is just one single level, then we go below that specific line, then we start replenishing that. So those are different concepts. So hopefully that's quite clear. The fixed reorder quantity can include a reorder point that will be the minimum. Let's take a look at this type of policy. The reorder point will be for 50 pieces. Every time we go below this, then I'm going to start reordering 50. This could be in one purchase order, or maybe 2, maybe 7 and 8. It depends of the type of demand that you have. Because considering that you have a fixed reorder quantity, you have some items in your let's consider for fixed and a maximum type of items. Let's say that you have the items that you sell the most, okay? You need to have those items. You cannot go, you cannot run out of inventory, right? So that's very important sometimes for manufacturing. That's another type of example. Or when you are assembling, you might have an entire stock, but if only one component is missing, you cannot have a finished product. So it's very important. So let's say like we are hedging our inventory. It's like our idea of having a assurance, let's say, let's put it that way, that we are actually going to have that inventory no matter what. So we're going to use in that type of replenishing fixed reorder quantity and maximum quantity. Just as a note, we also have LS Retail Replenishing. That will be then including some other features that are not present here. Let's say that is more advanced because it has, for instance, seasons. Every product actually has that type of a variable, and very, very important as well in if you have a LS Retail. As an example, not only seasons, but you can make manual adjustments. You can review your history, right? So, excuse me. The idea is that we are going to start showing what type of replenishing that could be connected to Business Central you might have and you might need. Okay, so, but we need to start and learn from the very beginning, from the easiest part, etc. So, fixed and maximum is just when you want to hedge your inventory. Then we have order and lot for lot. A order is not difficult at all, but this is only used for those items that are really, really, really expensive. This doesn't mean that they move a lot, of course not. It means it could be that they give you a good profit, but in terms of selling one item, not in terms of volume. Then, whenever we have, for instance, a sales operation, then we are going to immediately order the demand, right? That was requested in your sales order, and then we are going to order immediately that inventory and the same quantity. So if your customers start, or you have some specific items that are like yearly, right? You sometimes need to review what are your actual sales before replenishing, and you're not going to purchase a lot, right? So you're going to be like more detailed. You are going to review 1 or 2 units. So then I would recommend the order policy. And then last but not least, the most important one, the one that is most used, which is lot for lot, where if you select this type of policy, we're going to review your demand, and we are going to review the purchase orders coming, and we are going to cross the information in order to have our results. So it depends of the demand, because we want to save costs. Also, the prices are changing all the time. So everything will be affecting your demand without actually you knowing behind the scene what is going on, unless you see the final sales results for your actual history, right? So if you want to actually review then your demand, we can have this lot for lot. And also we have sales budgets. But just to be clear, it's different, the replenishing process, from the statistical software that you might think of what replenishing is, and we don't actually forecast inventory. That is different. For forecasting, that forecasting is included in LS Retail. It can help you to do so, but actually it's not like they're reviewing the demand in 2 or 3 months, but we are reviewing your history, right? That's for LS Retail. For lot in Business Central, what we are doing is to review your actual current demand. So we need your sales force to start creating and quoting your sales orders. And once they are accepted by the customers, then we create an actual and firm sales order, and that is going to the replenishing lot for lot policy is going to be reviewing. And then of course, for all of this, we are going to be purchasing according to the type of policy. Hopefully that's clear. And as well, we have the safety lead time. And very important, if you want it, this is more or less the safety stock quantity. Sometimes is used when, for instance, in the stores or in those warehouses that you might run easily out of some items and you cannot handle that type of situation because you're going to be losing some sales. Safety stock quantity we recommended only for very important items that are very profitable and then you can include that in every stock keeping unit, include your safety stock quantity for every store or every warehouse. So you are going to always have an independent line, no matter your demand, no matter how many purchases you should be receiving at some point. But if you have the safety stock quantity, it immediately, no matter what, when we actually run out of this safety stock quantity, we are going to order it no matter what, right? So the idea of the safety stock quantity is that we do not care specifically about any policy. We are going to always request that. Okay, that's part of the planning. So you can see then that it depends. We have two tabs that are important. The replenishing tab that is going to help a Business Central understanding which type of a process you need to actually supply. And then once you select that, then you start planifying your actual policies. And I'm just explaining some of the basics. So in order to wrap all the information, we are working in a multi-site environment, and we are going to be now, after these basic setups, that you know that I have my items also with my policies. Some of them are purchased. Let me take a look at some assembly, because some of you might be making some packing. Okay, just to show Business Central, we have, oh, this is also for retail. We are going to be able also to replenish. It depends now on the type of details also that you have for your items. And here, let me show you. We can order by our specific policies, but if you want, you can order by attributes. This is also applicable for LS Retail. You might order color, specific brands, type, screens, or the components that, or the attributes that you can add. So think of your attributes. They are very, very important also for reports for every type of inventory, sales, purchasing, etc. And of course, replenishing. And as you can see here, I have some forecasts for the future. This is brought by Cortana. So at this point, Cortana is telling me that I will be having like a constant inventory for all the following months, because I'm working in a demo environment, by the way. So, but if I place a purchase order in the future, any of your customer asks for some quotations, and they, let's say that due to the lack of demand in these periods, it's difficult to trade, but we might think of, and Cortana will be detecting that and ordering that at this point, please stop replenishing. We have enough inventory. We are not making any sales operation. Unless we place a sales order, then we would be seeing that we have that our forecast of the required inventory might increase in the future in the specific months where the sales order is actually placed. But at this point, it's just a constant, meaning that I do not have actual demand in my demo, of course, only. So as part of the functions, you can search. I'm going to, this is very good because now in Business Central, you start typing any information like I want the screen, that is silver with the specific processor, or in this case, I typed all in because I'm assembling some items. That's what I wanted to show. And here, for instance, let's try to see the Dell all-in-one computer. And, oh, okay, just in order to show the functions. You can also filter by your attributes. And this is now part of, in conjunction with LS Retail and everything, you can start filtering, purchasing, replenishing, making sales operation in the POS or in the sales order by this type of attributes, right? So just an idea. So I don't know, maybe I just want to review the specific color, and then you will need to type this type of search that you want to have, right? Oh, I make maybe a mistake typing. Okay, but you get the idea. For now, that's not important to review the specific search. That is the the actual procedure, right? Don't worry about it now. But what I was going to show is that at this point, I want to review what other type of inventory is important, and for replenishing, of course. In this case, I'm going to just present that an item that I believe has a bill of material. And for manufacturing or assembling, in this case, I have some assembly bunk, a list of components, in this case, some graphic programs, a flat panel, a webcam. So I actually assemble my items in my warehouse. You can assemble to order once again. So if any of your customers request for any specific item with any specific component, then you will be then ordering it. Or if you have the manufacturing process, well, we need to anyway order the components in advance. We assembly, and only once we have a finished product, we start selling. So it depends. We have the assembly to stock policy or make to stock when we have manufacturing, or then we can assembly to order when your customer requests that. And that's also, let's say, replenishing, but that's the demand, very, very specific, only ordered by your customer. But we have now components, and now you can start kitting if you want it, and that's as well part of it. Okay, let's go then and review one purchase order, because the first replenishing process, of course, begins with a single purchase. We have a lot of explanations because we do a lot of setups, by the way. So hopefully this is not like information that is plain. I want to make it interesting. But anyway, we need to review all the setups, okay, to make it to give you the actual idea. We, of course, need to do some back testing when we actually do replenish, right? So it's not like, hey, I just want to have my items if you have not actually just replenished before. So don't worry about it. We have when we go and implement, we review your demand. We sometimes ask you about if you know about your levels, or start requesting some information for you to start reviewing, at least with some the most profitable items that you sell the most, right? So what we do then is that we together review the items that we are going to be replenishing, and of course we prepare in a test environment the process that we are going to see in a few minutes, so you can actually just do a back testing, and we then could, why not, import the new demand to continue some back testing with actual sales, so until your replenishing process is fine. Or you can begin maybe with one store or with one small warehouse, right? So don't worry about it. We do not actually start replenishing an entire company in just one single test, and we just jump into big replenishing process. In my purchase order then, I would be including, of course, my vendor. And in this case, I was looking at the item. This is another item, Tokyo guest chair. And I just, at this point, I don't know, do the lack of demand, I want to understand what I should be doing, right? My availability, of course, for the actual purchaser, the most basic one, well, while you are purchasing, you review how many items you have in your company, okay? And then, of course, you can review your forecasts. Sometimes, if requested, you can see here in your forecast if you have an issue. So if one of these bars start going down, 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 then you can review this and immediately from your forecast, because this is an application, in this case, the purchasing is ordered by Cortana, and it's just a suggestion, just create a purchase invoice or purchase order, click here, and immediately Cortana is going to start reviewing what is actually requested for you to actually have a proposition if you accept it, because in the forecast you have the units that might be needed or forecasted in the future. But at this point, as you saw, because I do not have too much demand, actually I'm having a no quantity suggested, right? So this is what actually you should be having at this point. You should have a proposition, your actual business with Cortana, with the intelligence that we have. And let me show you just some stuff, some setups that we have with Cortana. I want Cortana to review every month in the horizon 12 months in the past. I have some, well, configurations, just, this is technical, don't worry about your API at this point. But what I want to review is to have a specific type of calculation on a monthly basis, or maybe on a day, on a week. It depends on how often you replenish. Cortana can help you review your actual demand, reviewing also your history. So if I show you only the calculations that you saw before, don't worry, because you might have also another specific suggestion just by reviewing your history. And of course, we have now, this is not Business Central, this is Cortana, but it's completely integrated out of the box. You don't have to customize anything. But we have a different now type of calculations or procedures like ARIMA, which is all of them actually, all of these, we would need to study them later actually with you, but all of them are like moving averages. But in ARIMA, ETS, STL, we are actually putting more specific emphasis, or maybe seasonality, or ARIMA is just like trying to make an average, right, of the period, right? But at the end, what most important is that I put more emphasis on the current periods. So it's like a weighted average, let's say, advanced weighted average, right? So by reviewing the history, we are trying to look into the future, right? And of course, how many historical periods and the expiration date of this suggestion, right? Because yes, if we do not accept what Cortana is calculating, then the following week Cortana would make another calculation once the first suggestion is expired, because we just cannot expire what was requested 1 month ago. Of course, we do not do that. Okay, so these are just part of the specific setups that we have. And this is actually, if you want, just let me show you in order to go back to our Business Central page. But we actually, let me just, I have some, you just need to allow this window. Okay, Cortana is actually for Replenishment hosted in Azure as well as my Business Central model in this case, but we can install it in your server. But here we have the models that we consultants do for you, where you can see and we can make some experiments in order to try to see what will be more suitable for you. So in Cortana, just before going to the actual final number, all these forecasting that we saw, we're going to have a web service input from your system. This can be also requested from GP or other Microsoft ERPs, or you can also enter data manually if you want it. We're going to see that. Enter, execute our scripts with ARIMA and all the actual processes we have, and we just can then have the actual web service output that will be then the purchase orders that we are going to be actually, or the suggestion that we are going to be having in every purchase order or transfer order. So now you're going to be having some help, and believe me, it works. So we just need to run it, and immediately it's going to start giving you suggestions in every document related to your inventory. I'm not going to go depth into this. This will be for another webinar in order to start planifying and working with Cortana. But just for you to understand what do we have. And this is just a very basic purchase order. I don't have any, I'm just ordering, and the purchaser might have a suggestion if he needs it. So he might see that if you add a location code, for instance, for your store, then the store one in this example, and you then change the quantity. Well, in this case, if you have some demand, you can see immediately in your actual purchase order if you don't have inventory, and we can actually review your history, call your manager and tell them, hey, for the items that you requested, also from Cortana, I'm having the amount of this quantity of items suggested. You review line by line, of course, and you can provide the results, so you can have a discussion about what the suggestions that you have. And this is for the regular and most used type of replenishing process when you actually just use one single purchase order. Okay, let me go back to the item that we are actually just designing, because better now, before going there, I'm going to now reviewing the actual replenishing that we traditionally do in Business Central. This is a functionality that we are going to do only for purchasing. I'm going to show you, we have two types of replenishing. One for purchases, not from Cortana, but from your actual policies, from your history, for those items that are very expensive, for the policies that are actually looking at the levels, right, when you want it. So in order to start only purchasing, right, because remember that we have manufacturing and we are going to have assembling, and we also can replenish. I'm going to show you at the end of the webinar that part. Now, the requisition worksheet, it's just a form that is going to just look at your policies for every item. And in the requisition process, we are going to review this form, okay? This is not for the stores. The stores also have another requisition process, but that's manual, not to be confused, right? But the names are very similar. The requisition worksheet here that I'm presenting for Business Central is for your entire company, right? And if you want to, once again, work with the actual stores, work with LS Retail. If you only have warehouses and only working with Business Central, work with the requisition worksheet this way. Okay, here in this requisition worksheet for one specific date, let me use today, actually, I'm in the future, you can have different requisition worksheets where you are going to create a default journal in this case, but you might, of course, have a by department for, let's say, your office supplies that will be different from your components or your finished product, or for the items that you purchase and resale, or by product group, right, etc. You decide according to your policy, just create a new one. And this is for Noé, maybe, the purchaser, right? So replenishing for demos, let's say. Okay, nothing complex, but you are going to have, and every journal can have a different calculation. Let's see how then is done. If I just click on process, I'm going to calculate my plan for my supply chain. No matter how many warehouses or stores, no matter how many items with different policies. This is going to review the entire company. It might take a while. This might be run preferably at night. But the idea of this calculation is that I need to have a starting date and an ending date, right? So if I just take a look at this, is because of course that I'm going to need a range, and then I can include forecasts. So I have a forecast for, well, this is for the last year, so I won't mind in order to include this one, but you can include it. Let me explain you about the forecasts and that we use in Business Central. All right, we can have like sort of a budget where, why not, if you you can include your history from the last year, right, and copy paste that history into the actual forecast for this year, let's say plus 10%. So we can edit our demand forecast. Let me just open this. And for all your items and for all the specific periods that we are going to be presenting, maybe not by day, but by week at least. Okay, we are going to have different weeks. We are on the week number 19, and we can just immediately include and import your history from your items. That's really helpful. I entirely recommend it to do so for all items that actually just if you have history, we can extract it from Excel, from your actual item ledger entries if you have Business Central, or if you are maybe, if you're thinking about moving to Business Central, we extract your information, your history, and we can import it. But that will be only for a suggestion, all right? So we have a demand forecast, and we here, by importing it, we have an implementation methodology that we call the rapid start services, that where we can import any information. And here we would be for every item, like my HP Pavilion laptop, for every week, I would be importing a specific quantity that maybe the last year was just a requested, right? So, or sold, I mean. So I would say that more or less every week I was just selling this amount, this quantity. So every week, at least we have an idea, right? So you can include it if you want it. That's optional when we are actually replenishing. So you get the idea that we can have the history from the last year. And then in this case, because from the last year, I'm not going to include it. But here also, you can exclude forecasts for some specific dates, right? That would be maybe when you actually import your history, but we are going to stop reviewing the suggestion for specific dates. So we do not actually are going to look into too much into the past, right? Let's say that way, right? So we need to make like a stop. So we are not going to order everything that we have in our history from the last year, just maybe for only for April, let's say. So that's how we use our forecasts. And now, of course, for every replenishing process, you might decide to first, and that's my recommendation, first replenish with all the locations included to have an idea of the actual requirements. But of course, we cannot purchase everything at once. That's not you might be running on their specific budgets, right? So at least we might need to review and start at least to have some items in our central warehouse at least, right? So it depends, because when we talk about replenishing, we also need to talk about cost. So once that is included, I'm going to do it for I don't have too many items actually, because I don't want to make a very large page that nobody is going to understand. I'm just going to click on OK. I'm just going to be doing some replenishing for some items. Oh, one specific setup. Respect the planning parameters for your supply triggered by safety stock. Okay, this is because you might have some reorder points, but in combination only with WMS, we are going to have two types of things. Your bin capacity, that will be the maximum capacity that you have, but in this case, you can decide, do you want to work with your maximum capacity, or just better respect your levels that you actually want to have, so we don't actually order too much. And that's very, very useful, right? So we just can decide. As you can see, there are some processes. I'm just explaining just the most basic ones, right? So I'm just calculating, let's say now for this, oh, I have an item that is blocked, no problem. Okay, I'm always just reviewing my HP Pavilion. I don't want to order more at this point, but I want to understand what replenishing is. Okay, first of all, I can see that, well, I have many lines, right? Let's open a little bit this. What I have here in these lines requested only for one item, because actually this will be this will be the same for all the items that I requested. First of all, I have some purchases that are requested by my planification to be canceled, because maybe somebody in the different locations or in my stores, somebody actually was ordering because the items are urgent, right? So I can see that many purchases are requested to be canceled. I don't know who was, but somebody was ordering in my main warehouse actually many purchases for 2 pieces. So it might be actually just the same, right? So I'm just going to be canceling that order, right? They are not requested anymore. Maybe what happened here is that they were created without actually acknowledging it, right? Maybe they were making some requisitions internally and in different places. But the idea is that I want to give you is that if the replenishing process is seeing something that is incorrect, and in order to avoid going above what you can handle, then we are going to be starting with the most important topic in every replenishing process. Cancel what you need, what you don't need. Okay, very, very important. Then we are going to be taking a look for all these purchases, even though they are canceled. I'm just going to show you the actual information. We have the location code. This is for my main warehouse. Then we have the quantity requested, and very important, the unit of measure. All of this is a suggestion. Here you can still change, for instance, the pallet or the pieces one you want to order. Okay, because somebody was maybe requiring, now my company knows, and that's one of my policies. If you want something, just request it. Request it, because at the end, with the replenishing process, the most important thing with every replenishing is that I'm going to be able to see the actual demand for the entire company. The users do not know, so I let them, or at least the purchasers, to request what they want, because I'm going to consolidate at the end on a weekly basis all that information. So the unit of measures was requested here, but as well, if it's needed, I can just change it. Also the quantity, even though it's canceled, this could be just changed. Everything is just a suggestion. You might need to review it. You might need to understand how your replenishing processes and the due dates. When do you require specific items, or which specific vendor, right? And if needed, we have one specific and very important field, sell to customer numbers. If you have, I don't know, special orders, every company has special orders. What do we do with that? This is not requested internally, like these orders, like show you before. I know that somebody internally was just requesting. Maybe there are office supplies, or there are maybe just items requested in the most important, in different locations, let's say, right? But we might have direct demand, not from my policies, not internally from my people or my team in my company, but from the actual customer. And I need to attend with priority before purchasing all of this. I need to attend whenever we have the sell to customer cell filled with information, that's a priority for me as a purchaser. How do we give priority over the other requests that we have? Okay, just to finalize and go into the specials, I have just the creation of this new order that is requiring an ASUS for the store number 4 and the quantity. I don't know if at this point, if this is coming for a manual request or from my policies or internal levels. That's what we're going to check in a second. But if you want to order store replenishing, review what you need, cancel. This is going to do it automatically. So if somebody's ordering, you can cancel what is not needed, or maybe consolidate into one single vendor, right? All the items requested. Now, if we require new orders, might be because you are actually running out of inventory most of the time. So you are now understanding the actual replenishing concept. Now, what happened with the urgency? Because they are coming from a demand from the actual customer that is requiring some specific items. What do we do with that? We have two concepts, the drop shipment and the special order. Done all of this from the actual replenishing process. In this case, you can get the actual sales orders if you want it. So let me just click here. You can review maybe the item somebody's calling you, or you can review all the sales orders that you have. By the way, the document number in the demo that I have start with S, meaning from S order is a sales order, basically. So I can, if I need something special, in the sales side, at some point I'm gonna make a sales webinar, but they can order a regular order, or from the POS, or from a regular sales order, standard sales order. They can make a checkbox that say this is special, this sales order is a special order. When that happens, the actual purchaser that is doing the replenishing process is going to be able to see these orders here. So we might need to attend all of them. You can select any order that you want, click on OK, right? And immediately this would be including a line here. So I will be with urgency without waiting for my levels to be emptied, or without waiting for any type of vendor to, if I need to negotiate or whatever, I'm just going to order it. And the drop shipment as well is going to help me with that. I can get the sales order as well. That will be special as well. But the difference is that the drop shipment line, if we just do this actually get sales order and we select any order here, in this case, the line that will be suggested and represented or copy the items from that demand that will be copied in my form will be just immediately sent to the customer, and they won't be stocked in my warehouse. Even though if you have very advanced warehousing like WMS or basic, that doesn't matter, then you're going to be ordering and created a connection with an actual sales order. And when we receive, immediately we prepare a shipment. So hopefully you can get the overall concept, the ideas, and of course, behind that, we have some other setups that I don't have time to show all of that, but you get the idea. So once you get this basic, let's say, understanding of the how you replenish your company, you might need to understand, okay, at some point, if you want to these items to be ordered and to cancel these orders, we can do two types of things. It depends on your internal policies. Let's say that I'm prepared to start replenishing. I like it. Cancel all of these orders because I have a suggestion that we don't require this. We have already items, so we are not going to start attending this demand that was most of the time manual, right? And you're going to, if you have that a policy, you're going to have some cancellations. But the new one, you can either reserve it. So maybe you have a lot of stock there, but no matter what, I'm going to just reserve my inventory. Nobody's going to be able to select it in Business Central, right? So I recommend in the physical process in your warehouse, when we make a reservation, we put those items in a special physical place. So nobody takes that because we might prepare that, right? And nobody can touch it, and that will be there. Or once we reserve that, this could be also reserved for a customer. You can do so, right? I can reserve, these items are for one specific customer and nobody in the system is going to be able to see that, all right? So because we are going to attend our customers in for a place with the special, with the drop shipment, we'll reserve the inventory and we send it. And at last but not least, we just carry out our action messages, which in other words, is going to do the operations that I was explaining. So I'm just going to click in the carry out process. You can print it if you want it. Let's say it's fine. If you want to print it, that's not a problem. And this is now going to start working on my weekly replenishing process. It's working on it, and it's going to take a while until everything is prepared, printed, and of course, oh, by the way, this is not replenishing, but we have approval workflows. I'm just showing the purchase order that will be sent to our vendors. This will be including your logo. You will be including your specific requirements for the calculations of the taxes, the dates to be received, the item, the description. Tell us how you want this form. And in this case, this is a purchase, taking the information from the vendor, automatically created. I didn't have to do anything else. No more, I don't want to work manually anymore. So this is for directly going to be shipped to the store for the address. This will be paid in the store, cash on delivery. And we expect to receive this actually on today. That's why we might also include some other setups for the dates. Maybe because you are going to receive in your main warehouse, like in this example, but it takes you another day to send later to the store. But in this case, I'm requesting it directly to the store, and we are actually checking the reception date for the store only. Okay, basically that's it. Let me just minimize this. And the requisition worksheet, I just forgot to mention it, but it's very, very important. If you have doubts about what you're seeing here, for every line, we also have a timeline review. Oh, this is because I have already emptied. I'm going to review it in another form. But we can have a review of the actual, why is a Business Central suggesting all of this, right? Okay, the first concept is understanding the requisition worksheet. It can cancel, it can edit for you as well. This is what we can do in the replenishing process. We can create a new purchase order. We can change the quantity just in case your requisitioner just asks some units, but by taking a look at the actual necessity on the demand in the warehouse, we might change it, right? Reschedule, because okay, the purchase order might be fine, but it happens that we are going to need now something urgently, right? So we might need to, because we have more demand. So this immediately will be seen, and this is going to help you to reschedule the reception date. Reschedule and change quantity, or like we saw before, cancel. So these are the main basic actions that we have here in this form. And now we're going to also, we need to review why I having the specific quantity suggestion. But as well, I need to present another worksheet, so I need to include many things in many concepts in almost no time. So, but this is actually goes and goes. So only for replenishing, I will say that I would need at least 3 hours, right? But let me give you another very, very important idea to take. I'm going to now open, why not to navigate also a little bit. Okay, in TechCronos, I also have KPIs, right? That are telling me the sales orders that I have, the ongoing purchases that I need to review, the approvals when you have approvals only, right? So these are actually the purchase order that I actually have in my company. So I need to review. I have 37 and can click on that number, excuse me, on any of these boxes. I'm going to review. I have ordered my replenishing. So I have all the list of the actual open purchase orders that were released or open. Released means that they can be processed to be received. And open means that I have only maybe created the purchase orders, but I need to wait for them to be approved. But these are now the documents that my purchase team, or at least for me, the purchaser manager, need to start monitoring. When they were received, when are the dates, the document dates, the status, the approval workflow. So we have some other purchasing concepts behind the scene, but here you have all what you are replenishing. But I need to come back to inventory. At this point, just navigating, we can add some charts. In this case, for my business assistants, for me, I have my customers, but you could have for replenishing, I don't know, give me the items that we are running out of stock just immediately. So you can start by clicking on the chart, immediately working on the detail. What else would be good? We can add some reports because, well, in this case, we have a trial balance, and a report inbox, and we have Power BI. Well, I don't know if any of you work with Jets or Power BI. Well, they in Business Central work seamlessly. So if you have any report, we can just add it here, and we can actually just design. We don't require any more programmers. We do not install any software anymore. Everything is just connected. We just make some tweaks, and we have that in setup and extensions. And just we have service connections. Let me see, just to show you a little bit. Manual setup before going to the actual last process. Okay. what could be good for replenishing service connections? No. Let me see if I have here extensions. Just showing some features for Business Central. Okay, we have many functionality like barcode generators, banking fundamentals, and we can just review. Oh, let's take a look. PayPal, I have PayPal, I have Power BI, I can QuickBooks data migration, Warehouse Insights for WMS, right? I'm just trying to take a look at what is behind the scene for inventory. No more than that. But if you want to later take a look, we can give you a demo environment. And let's take a look at the extension marketplace, where you can look for your own, oh, excuse me, here I'm being blocked by Azure because licensing processes. But we can have JET, Power BI, and other type of softwares that might be for barcodes, WMS, or if you want to have an extension to forecast your inventory, but here you have Cortana, you won't need that. Just giving you some ideas. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to navigate for those of you who are seeing Business Central for the first time. You still have all your modules. I'm going to explore all of them. You have administration, finance, human resources, purchasing, project management, which are in order if you are maybe on a consulting company or you are for services by phases, and you can include the components as well that you sell. Of course, we need to replenish the projects as well. And services. Services will be for maintenance. If you have warranty on some items, right, you can offer that. So you can even create contracts for a specific type of maintenance procedure. And here, well, the actual ones will be using concatenated purchasing and warehousing. Okay, for now the most important. And here in a lateral process, we have the manufacturing. Here we can also start ordering. I'm just going to open it directly. And I have, oh, let me see where it is. In my manufacturing, we have also planning worksheets. The planning worksheet is in conjunction with the purchasing process, but here I will be actually checking what needs to be assembled, what needs to be produced as well. Okay, so in this case, let me just delete these lines. We're going to review if I have some assemblies. Okay, and look at here, you have some information about the planning and most important details like the reorder policy, reorder point. That's what I also wanted to show before, but I was explaining first the basic concepts. And here, every time we have a line, we are going to be able to see why Business Central is ordering something or suggesting, right? So in order to, again, working with this, I'm going to prepare, and once again, remember rep function calculate. In this case, we call it regenerative plan. The regenerative for assembly and manufacturing is called MPS or MRP, right? For manufacturing or for only purchases, right? But the idea is, it depends. It's another processes for manufacturing and assembly, because at this point we are following a plan for the manufacturing behind the scene that we are not seeing now. But believe me, there's a plan to assemble some kits on a weekly basis, or assembly a special order that my customer requested in the store, as another example, etc. Okay, so once you actually go and on MPS is for more advanced master production, where you're going to have different recipes, even process not only for the weekly, but for the day, or even for tomorrow. And, or maybe one item is urgent now, but they have different features related to the level of complexity. But if it's just going to be the assembly and the purchase is just going to be MRP, which is the most, the simplest one, let's call it that way. As well, you can use your forecasts. You have the concept of bringing history, but that we are going to use and forecast in the future the same history plus a specific markup. Okay, and then as well, you can filter by items, filter by your locations, and voila. So you decide what, when, which items you are going to be replenishing, and if you want your history, so we can use it as a suggestion. Okay, I'm going to click on OK, and this is going to start calculating, and it's going to present all the items. Oh, this is because of a policy that I have, but it's not a problem. It's because some items were blocked, but this does not represent a problem. That's fine, actually, when we don't want some items. Okay, I have a lot of lines here. I need to pay attention. I need to make some exceptions. Now, let me explain all of this. Okay, let's pay attention. You need to cancel a purchase order for the HP pavilion, the quantity is 0. So I still have somebody creating again purchase orders. They are not complete, they are not okay. And if I work very important with the replenishing processes, every purchase order affects my planification. So if they are not okay, then your replenishing process should delete those orders, unless they include a quantity that accidentally was, maybe the quantity is not okay. Also, the replenishing process is either change the quantity or create and cancel the oldest one and create a new purchase order for you with the correct quantities. Then we are going to review that this is for the main location where I need 50 pieces and I order 10, the maximum, no maximum inventory, the safety stock is 5, minimum order 5, and all of the fields that we have explained now will be here. But the projected inventory is 171. So with let's say more advanced practice, right? The idea is that we need to reach some projected inventory, like I told you before, and this is explaining you how many we need in my company and for which date. Okay, so the projected inventory 171 is higher than the overflow level, right, for one specific date, right? So that's why we cannot afford to have a purchase orders that are not okay. Let's cancel everything that is just garbage, literally. All right. Let me see. Okay, some routing. Okay, we have some purchases here that we are canceling and ordering. No assembly orders. Okay, sometimes we might expect that here we have assemblies because we are going to need to start assembling what our customer requires, right? Specifically because I'm working currently in the basic manufacturing or assembly, not working with the more complicated one. Actually, when I show manufacturing, that's where I show replenishing for manufacturing, but that's another level, that's another thing. Those are different ideas, different criteria. Okay, but let's say that I want to create a new purchase order for the HP pavilion. For the store one, they need 15 pieces. And the due date will be actually in the past. So this is already in the past. That's why this is an exception, okay? Let's take a look. You can click on the message where you have a warning here, and the reorder quantity is 15, but the projected available inventory is below safety stock, okay? And attention, the starting date is in the past. So what's going on here, if you, well, this is not that common, you're not going to be seeing this, but this is when you are not attending your replenishing. Basically, this is telling you something, that you are very low, your inventory, even your safety stock. That doesn't happen oftenly, but because we are actually, the demo is for March and I am actually now in April. So that's why this is showing me that I immediately, urgently need that. So you need, as a replenisher, you or the purchaser need to review line by line. You have an exception here. Let's pay attention to this. This is telling me, hey, attention, we have a purchase order that we are going to be canceling. Let's take a look at the attention message. Okay, the projected inventory 72 is higher than the overflow. Okay, I have enough inventory, basically. Also working in the past, but I have enough inventory. I'm not gonna request any more, and I don't want my people I need to pay attention. Maybe why are you all many in my team? Why are you creating purchase orders when they are not complete? Or so you can monitor everything. Now let's take a look at new purchase order for the Chromebook. Once again, let's review the exception and well, more information, maximum inventory. Okay, safety stock quantity, I always need 5 no matter what. Okay, so this is including the maximum inventory that I should handle for that location, which is the store number 2. But this maximum inventory might decrease even below 0, and then I will be then ordering more. But the safety stock is it's considered to be an item, and only you prepare safety stock for those items that you cannot afford to run out of inventory. Think of that in your company or in the different sectors. You have those type of items no matter what. Okay, so independently of the maximum inventory levels or the demand or whatever, I'm going to prepare a separate line for my safety stock. So that's completely independent, and that's why it's included here, right? But for now, I'm giving my demand in this line and my safety stock. So you can continue, and we can continue reviewing, but well, we have many variables actually, to be honest. But the idea is that, okay, another one, just to at least give you some other ideas. For me, I have a reorder point of 10. I somehow started to sell inventory. At some point, I went below that 10 reorder point, and the maximum inventory is 20 at this point. So what will be the policy here? If my reorder point is below 20 or my maximum inventory? Well, at this point, the maximum inventory has more priority, right? No matter what, I will be always reordering below 10, but maximum 20 pieces. So I can understand by looking at this that I don't have inventory currently. So that's why this is actually requesting the maximum inventory 20, right? And untracked quantity is here because at this point I have not ordered anything. Otherwise, I will be having some values here. Okay, I don't want to bore you. I know that this is complex, and even seeing it by the first time about the policies. What are we working with, the safety stock or the levels, or what is the priority of all of that, right? But let me tell you this. The idea is that we review your demand in first place, either with high priority if it's a special order or a drop shipping. That's the first concept, the first thing, the most important. We review the demand, the type of demand, if it's only for the order or for the entire demand, or let's say that only for my demand will be internally in my warehouse, okay? So it depends. You think of the following. Where do you want to point in order to start replenishing? The actual demand from your customers or your inventory levels that you have tracked before with your history, right? So you might have, well, the reorder points or whatever is fixed when it comes to levels, right, is more related when we work with assembling and when we work with manufacturing. Or if we want to work and review instead of my internal demand, but my external from my customers, well, that's the actual demand that you have. And we do not have in replenishing process a forecasting tool to make calculations in the future. LS Retail has it, not Business Central, But anyway, if you want to work, we can import your history from the last year, let's say. I strictly, whenever we work with that, recommend only at least 6 months if you have them. It's possible statistically to do it even with less, but I mean, that's like playing in a casino. We are having money here that you cannot bet until you have enough history. Very, very important. So continuing then with the idea of the replenishing part, we have here either components or finished products as well. You can create all your, this is going to create you remember the all-in-one. This is going to create, here I'm not going to see the components, but if I require an all-in-one computer and I need 12 units, this is going to create a purchase order, but in here I'm not going to be seeing the components, all right? Let me explain you now what will be happening in that case, just to finalize. And in this case, I like it. I like this replenish plan, and I'm just going to carry out the messages. Only make purchase orders, not, that's fine. Also, if there were requirements for transfer, we also have transfer orders. Combined transfer orders, not important for now. Okay, click here. Let me see if I have a bug here. 1 second, please. Carry out action messages. No, it's not a bug. It's because I forgot. I'm still need to accept manually my messages here. Like in this example, let's cancel this. Let's accept all of the cancellations in first place. That would be normally what I would do in every process. Carry out the messages to actually the message that we have here. Let's cancel all of these orders. So we can filter my window to what the most important is, basically. I forgot about it because since all of this is a suggestion, then I just need to confirm by clicking here, and that last but not least, now you can confirm the messages. So carry out action messages and clicking OK. Now this is working and doing behind the scene. Oh, we have a purchase order that is released, no problem. We're gonna check that later, but at this point, now I actually cancel or deleted automatically the purchase orders. And as you can see now, my list is super short. And here, these are still released. So I need to review and call the purchaser. Hey, I'm trying to cancel some purchases. So please reopen the purchase orders. And here I still have to check these items that I'm just requesting here. So let's say that I'm just going to random select. Of course, you need to review your quantities. You need to review your due dates, the unit of measures, etc. But once I'm happy with that, the only thing that I will be, in order to finish my webinar today, I'm just going to carry out and create some purchase orders that are very important for me at this point, and voila. So let me just go and review my purchase orders. Because here, what the replenishing procedure does is that we are just creating the purchase orders, but this is immediately sent to your vendor. Very, very important. Just to finalize, don't take that idea, that's wrong. This is just helping you to create the documents, but this could be, why not, this could be part of an approval workflow. So before sending them, you will need to review your budgets, as an example. You will need the manager to approve any information. You might need to attach your actual requirement if you have internal policies from your actual users or your team. So we have attachments. Before sending anything, you can create internal notes, right? Hello, this is for me. Hello, of course, because I'm not don't have anybody else to see my messages. But here, very important to start working with those type of documents. Okay, then purchase details, availability. Well, that's not important for now. The idea is that I have now for many, well, only 2 stores for now, the actual replenishing process here. If I want it, I can, I don't know, delete. Let's say that at the end, I do not want one line for now. I call the store and they're telling me, no, not for now, but for the next week. I still need that, but not now because I have an issue. Maybe I need to start counting or accommodate my store first, and then so I can receive more items. So at the end, that's why we review the purchase orders. We can have an approval workflow, and I recommend to have then just confirmation from the actual destination that the item will be received. Then if that's not the case, you can still come and delete, right? Because, well, at the end, it's just a suggestion. Like I said, you can still come here and edit any information. Okay, basically that's it. Let's say that as well. What would be important for to present? Here, well, we have explained the drop shipment, the special order. Okay, you can explode the bomb here for all those items that you are actually requiring, but at the end, this is not a bomb. Okay, I thought that this had a bomb that we couldn't explode here, but when we have and when we run the function to explode the bomb, we would immediately include in the purchase order instead of the finished product, just the actual components, all right? So for you to take the idea, we first need to understand how many items we want, and then later review which components we need to purchase. And that's how we normally do it, okay? Not all the way around. We do not only order components. We need to review how many finished units of finished product we require, and then later we break we explode the bomb to see which components we need in order to assembly, because we need to order the entire batch. Because remember, if you don't supply for an entire bill of materials only one component, the inventory will be then just held and won't be used for your actually assembly or ordering process. Okay, with that, let me see if I'm not forgetting. Very important, request approval. Just to finalize, send the request approval, or we can have now with flows. This is an application where you can communicate to your Skype. What else? I have created a purchase order from the replenishing, approve it. This can send to meetings, to Outlook, emails, right? So now with the replenishing, we can also send emails about, I have created a purchase order. The user is going to be, well, the requester, in other words, is going to receive the messages, and immediately we can connect and send notifications about the purchases we are going to be doing. Let's take a look, I don't know, Outlook. We have integration with Outlook and with Teams. And this is the last thing we just showed today. In Microsoft Teams, in Outlook, well, I have a flow. I have one notification, one request of, okay, somebody, an approval workflow failed. I have a PO sent by approval, and I have the PDF sent now here. Okay, so from the replenishing side, now we are receiving emails immediately just to be able to be printed. And in Teams, okay, in Teams we have, like I said, it's like a Facebook, but for my company, and I have different like forums. In one of them that is called General, this is the General Marketing Project Team. Somebody approve a customer. I don't have connection in this case with my purchase created, but we have it. So here I have internal posts from my people in my team, or in the warehouse, or in the store. I can create for the store one of a team channel. Like in this case, I have the digital initiative, the sales and marketing team, and we can notify all the team that I actually have requested, and they will be receiving at any point, or review Business Central. So here you can see some posts. Okay, so, but that's another topic. I'm just finishing for now the replenishing process, the replenishing types that we have from Cortana, from the purchase order, from for manufacturing, for purchasing, for the multi-site, the messages, etc., etc. So thank you very much for today. I'm finalizing now the process, the webinar. Thank you for your time.